My 31 meters wife 28F said she doesn't love me anymore and wanted to end the marriage. Found out she has had a 12+ month affair that started while she was pregnant with our second child. We have been married for 8 years. As the title says, about 6 weeks ago early June my wife told me she didn't love me anymore and didn't want to be married to me anymore. I was a bit blindsided, but we haven't been communicating well for a little while. She said I made her feel like I didn't love her anymore. My wife had been going out a fair bit more over the past year or so without me. I broke down and we had a small discussion about it, but didn't really approach the subject too much more than that. About 2 weeks go by with us not talking too much and she says it again. That she's been doing a lot of thinking and she is pretty adamant. We have a 6-mo son and a 3-yo daughter. I told her I'd give her some more time to think. I went and stayed with some friends for the working week, still working full time, and then have the kids on the weekend, and my wife would go to her parents' place or be with friends as she doesn't have a place of her own. We are renting. We had been doing this for a few weeks and having some positive discussions, but when I came to swap over with the kids on Friday she told me she's been talking to another guy for a few weeks and she kissed him when they met up at an event during this past week she took the kids to. Even before this point, I didn't hold too much hope of getting back together anyway, so started asking her questions about it all. She met him at the gym, only been talking on social media, and met him once more at a social function. I then said, "What else are you not telling me?" She said nothing else. Later on she asked me when I would join dating apps as she just wanted me to be happy. She said that she didn't want me to go out with anyone that she knew. I told her if she was leaving me, she doesn't get a say in that anymore. She got really angry at that and I shouldn't join anything straight away, give it time and talk to her when I join anything. I said again it's not her issue anymore and I'm going to do what I think is best for me. She got pretty mad and said that I was just going to have time with anyone and everyone. I said no, I need time to heal. She said that she didn't believe me and that I would probably be on there tomorrow. She was quite upset by the conversation. I asked her why she was so worried about me talking to other girls. She's leaving me. I asked if there was something she wasn't telling me. She said no, but I kept pressing. Finally she said that she's been cheating on me with a friend of ours since May 2019. Means she would have been approximately 6 weeks pregnant with our son at that point. Many feelings of shock, anger, sadness for me. She said she would go cheat when she says she would be going to the gym in the evenings, or when she says she's with other girlfriends. She also said he would come over to our house, have time on our marital bed, living room, couch, etc. during the working day as he kept differing hours, sole trader. She said that they were doing it multiple times a week at some points. I feel destroyed. I broke all contact off with this friend, blocked him on all social media and never want to see or talk to him again. My wife says it was only physical, there was no emotional connection, but it's hard to not think there would have been after so long. I trusted her completely and have only begun to suspect something over the last few months. She'd been hiding her phone all the time and had been going out more ever since our son was born. We are officially done now, she cannot be trusted at all. She's a terrific mom, so I'm not worried too much about our kids and I think we will be able to get into a good co-parenting routine. We have been amicable so far and have started to split assets. It is difficult right now with her not having a place to live yet. She's waiting for government benefits as she's unemployed and a SOM. Had a few people say I should kick her out and take full custody until she can provide a place for them to live, but that would just hurt the kids. In some odd way, I have sort of forgiven her already. Still have a special place in my heart for her, the mother of my kids. Gonna take the high road for now, let her sort herself out so we can be the best parents we can be. I can stay with my friends during the week for at least the foreseeable future. Kicking her out would just make the situation worse. She has already moved on and I've accepted that she's left our marriage. We'll look for another place to live when the lease on this place runs out in another 6 months, taking this next little while to heal as well as look after my kids and myself. Redditor's reactions, story 2 after. Redditor 1, I would get DNA on youngest child. That is way to close and you only have her word on when the affair started. She can't be trusted to tell you the truth. Get a lawyer immediately. That is imperative to have someone to look out for you legally. I'm sorry you have to go through this, but now is the time to think clearly and protect yourself. Op answer, thanks for the reply, I am planning on the DNA test in the near future. Agreed, there is zero trust here from me. I'm definitely getting a picture that a lawyer is going to be a good idea. Redditor 2, means she would have been approximately 6 weeks pregnant with our son at that point. Sorry to say, but you don't even know if the child any of them is or yours. Go get them tested. I can stay with my friends during the week for at least the foreseeable future. Kicking her out would just make the situation worse. Leaving the marital home can backfire. Go ask a lawyer. Op answer, thanks for your thoughts. I am planning on the DNA test. Agree, a lawyer will most likely be needed. Didn't know about if I left the marital home it can be construed in a negative way. Redditor 3, find a shark lawyer and eviscerate her. Had a client whose wife turned on him. We set a pie on her, got pics of her screwing her boss in a restaurant can, got evidence of him illegally giving her monetary bonuses. Well, one morning, day after he leaves her, and files, she finds him in her HR department. She is worried. Suddenly 2 officers arrive, her boss, the AP, is escorted out in cuffs. He spits at her as he leaves. Then security marches her into HR. In brief, she is terminated for cause, her bonuses are sucked out of her last pay, and she is on the street with the threat of criminal charges. As she is leaving, she sees her ex, laughing. She screams that he just could have walked away, now she is effed. He says, why do you think I hired an investigator? You now get less than nothing, bye. Redditor 4, she'll ask to reconcile within a year or 2, this is typical bored wife routine, tell her to pound sand when it happens, meanwhile improve you and retaliate by being the best you. Op answer, 100%. She has shown her true colors after all. I have no interest in reconciling, there are not enough years left in our lives for her to prove to me she could be trusted again. I'm going to be the best possible version of myself and be the best dad I can be for my 2 kids. Story 2. Fate helped me get back at my brother. I originally posted this in 2 parts as it was unfolding on our relationship advice, and a couple people told me to post it here. I didn't know this sub existed, but I'm happy it does. So, my brother 23M, we're twins, is so mean. He's constantly doing messed up stuff to me, 23F. But the worst thing happened 5 years ago. I got my first boyfriend when I was 18 and a senior in high school. I know we were young, but I really loved him. We'd been dating for 10 months when my brother randomly decided, for literally no reason at all, to make up a story about how he caught me cheating and tell it to my boyfriend. He planned it all out, he came up with details, he made it sound real. And because he's such a scarily good liar and a master manipulator, my boyfriend believed him. No matter what I said or did to prove it wasn't true, he believed my brother over me. My brother kept up with his act the entire time and refused to admit he was lying. At one point I thought I'd finally gotten my boyfriend to believe me, but then he broke up with me a few months later and confessed it was because he was still convinced I'd cheated on him and he couldn't move past it. He said, "The worst part is that you won't just tell me the truth, and not to sound dramatic, but that still haunts me. I want to cry every time I think about it. And I still miss him to this day." Also, I think it's important to note that my brother has never once apologized. He's so insanely mean that he just thinks it's funny. I even asked him once if he'd consider hitting my ex up and telling him the truth for my peace of mind, and he just laughed at me. I never got over what my brother did, and I always told myself I was gonna do the exact same thing to him one day. He's dated several girls since high school, but he'd never been serious enough about any of them for me to consider tricking them. I knew it wouldn't hurt him like he hurt me if I just tricked one of his flings or something. But he finally got his first serious girlfriend last year, and after thinking about it for a long time I decided I was gonna do it. We live in different places now, so I had to do it all online. I used a different method than he did. I contacted his girlfriend pretending to be the girl he'd been cheating with. I made up an elaborate detailed story like he did to me and even photoshopped proof and stuff. I made my story even more believable than he made his. And exactly like he did to me, I went as far as denying it even to him because I knew he might use my text calls to prove to his girlfriend that it isn't true. He knew I was behind it, though, solely because the girl I made up doesn't exist and there's no one else that would do this. but I kept denying it. His girlfriend wholeheartedly believed me, and my brother kept calling and texting me and begging me to give it up even though I still wouldn't admit it was me. He was manipulating me and arguing that it's different because I was younger when he did it to me and my relationship wasn't serious. But my relationship was serious, and like I said, I still miss my ex. My brother really messed me up. I have empathy though he doesn't, and I was starting to feel bad for his girlfriend because she's innocent. I was kind of regretting everything and thinking that maybe I should tell his girlfriend the truth for her sake, not his. But then, his girlfriend asked me a question which led to her admitting that she's been suspicious of him for a long time, so I pried a little bit and encouraged her to look through his phone. She told me she couldn't because she didn't know the passcode and he wouldn't give her access to it. I guessed a few passcodes I thought it could be and gave them to her under the guise of seeing it once but not being sure which one I'd seen. That was kind of dumb, but I couldn't think of anything else to say and she didn't question it. She got in because it ended up being the same one he's had since 2012 when our dad got us iPhones and made us use the same passcode. Idiot. Anyway, lo and behold. It turns out my brother actually cheated on her and my setup was the reason she found out. He's been talking to and hooking up with multiple girls for pretty much the entirety of their relationship. I'm not surprised, because he's a terrible person and cheating seems right up his alley, but I'm shocked at the same time. I literally can't believe things worked out this perfectly. It feels like a dream or something. The universe loves me. I hate to revel in his girlfriend's misery, but I was feeling guilty about her being collateral damage. So I feel like this is the best possible outcome. My lie ended up being the truth, well, not exactly, but you know what I mean, so I didn't scar his GF or leave her with permanent damage for no reason. All my interference did was speed up the process of the truth coming to light. In fact, my brother may have been able to hide his cheating forever if not for me. He probably would have just manipulated his GF and or refused to give her phone access forever. She hasn't broken up with him and I'm honestly not sure if she will. How relevant that is, but it attests to how manipulative he is. He screws people over all the time but somehow always gets his way anyway. It's honestly infuriating and scary. Anyway, I'm still not going to admit to my brother that I'm behind it all, because there's no point. That would just get me in deeper trouble. I got a comment on my original post that said "deny till you die, baby." And that's exactly what I'm planning on doing, lol. Life's crazy. Redditor's reaction. Story 3 after. Redditor 1, with a brother like him, you don't need an enemy. At least you're not living with him anymore. But seriously, duck him, he sounds like APS. Redditor 2, why your brother sounds like a sociopath. Seriously op, I'd go low contact, no contact with him. Op answer, copying from my other post and another comment. He's 1000% a sociopath. That's what people in the comments of my other posts said too. I've spent years being told I'm just dramatic when I accuse him of being a sociopath, so I feel very seen now, even if it's just from a bunch of strangers. As for going no contact, I wish I could, but it would be really complicated due to the way our family is. We're all really close, I mean as a whole. My brother and I aren't close individually, so cutting him off completely would mean not attending holidays, avoiding my parents' house every single time he was there, and a lot of other really difficult situations. I love the rest of my family, so that just isn't doable for me. I keep my distance from him, though. We live like 100 miles apart and almost never talk unless it's family related. Redditor 3, just a word of caution, your brother may try to escalate. Keep your eyes open. Redditor follow up, op, do not ever give him any weapons that he can wield. Time to start upping your privacy online. Redditor 4, don't only deny it, keep warning girls that he's a cheater manipulator. Now you have a real story and material to post on our nuclear revenge. Redditor follow up, so much this. B-Star deserves it for what he did to op and what he did to his current girlfriend. Story 3, I think my wife is having an emotional affair. Leaning toward leaving, but don't want to hurt my children. Hello, I am new to Reddit and appreciate a place where I can share this thing that is tearing me up inside. So I'm 34 male, my wife is 33 female, and we've been together for almost 13 years. 8 of those years married. We have 3 children. With the rigors of life and work, I would find myself working long hours and trying to use the rest of the time with her and the kids. Things seemed okay until I looked on the phone records one day and saw this strange number on her account. She called and texted this number many times, often when I'm at work, as well as this number calling and texting her. Picture messages and all. My gears start to turn and I ask her about it. She then told me she was communicating with this guy. He's in jail for M-ring someone, and they met on Facebook. I naturally told her to stop communicating with this man and she told me she would. Days went by and I was still mad as hell. Working hard, paying the bills, cooking, freaky ass time as much as I can get it, never cheated, and I still realized this fate. I was so hurt that I actually cried in front of her for the first time we had been together. All she did was console me and we had time in an old shed. We were in the country. Months went by, but I still had a bad feeling about this situation. After texting about it, she expressed how she is sorry she hurt me and how she wants to be with me forever, blah blah blah. So one day we were just hanging out at the house, kids just left to go with their grandparents, and I checked the mail. It was from the Department of Corrections in my state. What is this? I asked her with an angry look on my face. She snatched it out of my hand and opened it. She read the letter, tore it up and went to work. She said nothing at all and left. When she was gone, I went to the trash can and taped all of the shreds together. It was a denial letter of visitation. My heart dropped and I became extremely sad. This sadness quickly turned into anger and I haven't looked at her the same since. I try to talk about it with her and she doesn't want to, unless she's at work third shift and she can text. Up to this point, years after learning of her trying to go see him, they still communicate with each other when I'm not around, sometimes when we're hanging out at home. I've expressed to her how I don't like this situation, and she just acts like nothing is wrong and just tries to throw a bandage on it with time. She could get me before, but not now. I'm on the fence with this marriage. She's beautiful and a great mother, I just don't see her the same. I've unfortunately built up resentment towards her that ends up with a cold bed at night, her on one side and me on the other. Sometimes I want to leave but I think about my young children, 2 of which are in elementary and 1 in middle. I grew up without my father so I know how that feels, and I don't want that same fate for my kids, little people who didn't ask to be here. At this point in my life, I just want peace of mind. To not stress about who the person I love deeply is taking texting. Also not make her feel bad for her wanting to fill some type of void in her life. This guy and I are total opposites. I've never been locked up, and I can handle any situation that comes up. Maybe she doesn't know what to do with someone like me and this other guy is completely dependent on other people. I don't know. Am I being controlling and insecure? Are these just the rigors of marriage? Any advice is appreciated. Redditor's reactions. Redditor 1, your wife is a ducking lunatic first of all. What person in their right mind would communicate with someone who is in jail for that? Actually, if you think about it, she may be looking for a way to get rid of you. It's not that far-fetched. This guy gets out of jail, he comes and finds you and murders you and she thinks she can get off scot-free and just claim the guy was a jealous murderer. I'd file for divorce immediately. Whatever intentions this woman has with him, it is not good and it is not anything that will benefit you or your children. Redditor follow-up, your wife is a ducking lunatic first of all. I'm crying laughing because it seems rather obvious on that one, doesn't it? Thank you for bringing me to tears the only way I want to be brought to tears. Laughter. Redditor 2, your wife is having an emotional affair. If you're concerned for your children's future and safety, perhaps not staying married to a great mother who has mysteriously befriended a M while he is in prison would be a good place to start. Have you all discussed the real-life ramifications of her continuing such a relationship? Never mind the obvious cheating portion. But like she's a great wife and mom but she's emotionally hooking up with a felon and refuses to stop? Have you considered she may have this man you and or your kids if he were to be released, or he could have someone on the outside do it? Jeebus people. Redditor 3, you think she's having an EA? No buddy, she is having an EA. She's not going to stop having an EA, simply because you've not held her accountable and have not given her consequences for her actions. You've trained her that giving you time will get you off her back, so she can go back to communicating with her convict in peace, until the next time you chime in. She knows exactly how to manipulate the situation. You get laid, She does her thing, rinse and repeat. As long as you keep doing what you're doing, she'll keep doing what she's doing. If you want to stay married and keep your family intact, you have to handle your business. Set a firm boundary, with crystal clear consequences for violating them. Then be a man of your word, something you have not been so far. I can't tell you who to talk to or what to do, but if you continue to communicate, in any form, with this murderer, I will have no other option than to divorce you and move on with my life without you. Boom. End of discussion. If she gives any pushback, at all, arguing, denying, negotiating, anything, you serve her divorce papers. You follow through. If you've already had enough of her bullshit, get to a lawyer and go over your options. Serve her papers and explain exactly why you're divorcing her. No need to argue about it, state your reasons and end the conversation. You can tell her that the divorce will be final in, say, 4 months. Your lawyer can let you know how long it takes, so she has that exact amount of time to convince you to stay, but without concrete and verifiable actions, not words on her part, you're done. Stop beating around the bush and allowing her to dictate your life. Stand up for yourself, because no one else will. While you mull it over, enact the 180 treatment, to the letter. Nothing will get better until you decide to actually do something, bro.